My key idea is, so I was one of the team members with Ed Irwin and Jim Wright, who developed the SBIT model, which is a pre-referral intervention model, trying to implement interventions prior to just putting kids or referring kids for special ed. After having done that and validating that that really worked, I was totally ready to give it up because RTI was coming out now. And instead of just referring one kid, I could screen a whole classroom, a whole grade level, a whole school, and identify quickly kids with literacy concerns especially, and provide them early targeted services so that they didn't become a special ed referral in the future. And at that time, which was, I don't know, the 90s some point, I couldn't believe that we didn't do the same thing for behavior, given that about 20% of our kids had significant literacy problems that were going to affect the rest of their life, where at least 20% of our kids also had glaring social emotional behavioral deficits and difficulties, which were also going to significantly affect their life. So I saw the need to do a CBM for behavior. And I went to my first NASP in 98 and went to every booth there, the vendors, and asked them, what do you have for behavioral health screening or mental health screening? And they didn't have anything. So we've come a long ways, but we haven't come a long ways. We've come a long ways in terms of thinking about it, but what we lack is a little finishing up. So hopefully we'll get there some point today. So think about what we commonly do that's effective. Problematic territories we've settled with prevention. Visual impairment, hearing loss, and speech. Speech and language services are hands down the most effective special ed service there are. They declass more students than all the other services combined. And that's because as soon as you get to school, the first thing you do is you get screened for speech and language. And if you have a difficulty, they target it right there and they treat it very intensely and very early, and it works. And that's the model that the other kinds of difficulties children encounter that are preventable. That's the model for doing good work. So think every kid gets a vision screen, every kid gets a hearing screen, every kid gets a speech and language screen. Only 6% of kids have visual impairment, 1% significant hearing loss, and speech and language about 8 to 9%. And then consider there's 20% or more in some urban districts with socioeconomic levels that are below poverty in many cases. So anyway, we're effective with this. Territories we're exploring. I think RTI has shown us how to do good work around literacy and reading and preventing reading difficulties. We lack a little bit in terms of implementing that and doing it well. But at least we know what we're doing, and some districts are doing a really nice job, and in other places I don't see much work. And then the final frontier really is getting serious about children's mental health. And whether you call it mental health or social emotional learning or social emotional development or behavioral health, I don't really care. The emphasis here is on vision deficits significantly impact students' performance in the future. So does hearing, so does speech, so does literacy, well, so does mental health. And these things are identifiable early on, and we can, if we catch them early enough, and if we intervene in the right way, we can actually change the trajectory of these kids that are going to have significant difficulties later on.